Alrighty, folks, we are live, and we are glad to be back using our Ecamm Live. I missed it. Not that I don't miss Restream. I'm just saying I missed it a little bit. So let's say hello, folks, in the comments real quick. Hello, Denise. Welcome to the show. And, of course, Mr. Jim Fuse in the house. Gosh, I always... Man, he's going to kill me one day for, like, always butchering his name. But we got some awesome people here showing up, saying hello. Look at this. Over on Twitch, Mr. Sultan. And, yes, he's dropping fun emojis over there. So, and, of course, Mr. Russ Johns. I was in his test event before we decided to go live here. So we got a really awesome guest lined up for you guys. But before we get into that... If you're checking us out on YouTube, go to the Gabe Leal Experience on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. We are always trying to build our viewership over there. We are at 985. Let's get me to 1,000. That's the push. So go over there, follow the channel. You can find all of my past seasons over there. All my test streams, everything that I've done over there, you can go find it on my YouTube channel. Please hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell like it's ringing there. It'll let you know whenever we are live, whenever we schedule new lives, and whenever we drop new video content on the channel. So thank you so much if you're checking us out over there on YouTube. And of course, we are streaming on our favorite platform, LinkedIn, folks. So if you're following here, if you're not following me here on LinkedIn, what are you doing? How did you show up here tonight? Follow me if you do. Hit the bell. I'm trying to build our following over here on LinkedIn as well. So everywhere that I am, I'm trying to build my following. So yes, I want you to follow me everywhere. On Twitter at the Stream Tornado. On Instagram as well. I will be going live on Instagram as soon as the show's over here. So you can join me over there. And of course, you know, wherever else you find your social media fun, you can check me out over there. Before we get into it though, I want to say something before we introduce our guest. If you're looking at my head there, that is my swag. You can head over to our swag store, folks. We got swag. And I blame, you know who I blame? I've been at Vinny Potestiva, who was here last night. He ate all the cookies. Didn't save any for our next guest. So check out our media swags and Pro Media swag store, guys. You got hats, shirts, mugs. We got all the cool stuff. You can go check us out over there. I'll drop the link in the comments. Go hit a brother up. Doug, what is going on, my friend? Thank you for tuning in. Okay, and we'll give a little love to our design team. People help me put together my merch store, and of course, help me so much. So let's give a little love to our... Give a little love to the Inky Black team of Guy Graves and Miss Dana Fellows. Helping me out, of course. It's always fun. All right, guys, we are live, and thank you for tuning in on a wonderful, wonderful evening, guys. We are closing in on 40 episodes. 40 already. How amazing is that? So 40 episodes. Tomorrow will be 40 episodes, and I started this thing August 15th. So as you can tell, we've been kicking and going through these things. 60 more to go. Only 60. Wow. So, all right, folks. I've made you wait too long. You know what? I'm going to make you wait longer. That's why, because I can do this. This man that we're going to have on the show, he's been a awesome creator, somebody that I've been connected with for a while. And, you know, one of the cool things about getting to meet some of these individuals that you connect with on any of these social media platforms, you get to learn so much about them, and then understand it. You guys got a lot in common and things that you just love to talk about. And one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is, of course, live streaming, but so much more. So, guys, do me a favor. Help me welcome to the show the always incredible Dealcaster, or half of the Dealcasters, Mr. Chris Stone, folks. Help me welcome to the show. There he is. There he is. Let's give him, wait a minute, before we got to give him his applause. Everybody comes here and gets applause. I want you guys to feel Welcome.
I can't hear
Let's do it
you.
again. Let's get a little bit louder, folks. A little bit as loud as we possibly can. Cover your ears, folks. We went up on that one. So, Chris, my friend, thank you so much for tuning in, man. I appreciate
Gabe,
you being here, brother. One of the
thanks for finally asking me. I was like, I sat at home. I was like, when is Gabe going to have me on Unfiltered? It's going to take over 100 episodes for you to finally have me on here. But thank God I made it, in here. So thanks to everyone. Raquel, when's the last time you've been on a show on LinkedIn? And I know you're broadcasting on many tubes,
platforms,
not
of
just
course.
Amazon, but I mean platforms. I call them the tubes. That's just kind of my thing. All the tubes. But I mean, this chat is going nuts. I love it, and it's like emoji crazy. I guess that's what happens when you have a following on Twitch. Everyone's just dropping bits and
Everything.
emojis and all kinds of craziness. So thanks for having me on, man. This is great to be able to chop it up with you, sir. I know you and I have been connected for some time,
Yes, we
and
have.
it's great to sharpen the irons tonight. I'm ready to get unfiltered, man. I got my garden hose out,
Do it.
and I'm drinking out without there's no Britas in the vicinity. We're ready to go unfiltered, my friend. It's
We
Thirsty
are.
Thursday.
So, first of all, let's get started in knowing who Chris Stone is for those who don't know. And we'll do the condensed version. We don't have to go the whole journey, but like
in other words, Chris, try to not to say so much.
yeah,
right?
yeah, keep it short. Use 50 words don't use 100 when 50 will suffice, and we'll keep it on there but how did you get started in the live streaming world? Most people that I've talked to, some of them share like they've been in media before and they've done that thing. So I think you do have a little bit of that background, but tell us a little bit more how you actually get from being in the music, whatever you are, whatever share that is. I don't want to reveal too much, but how do you jump in front of a camera and start sharing like who you are and people start to get to know who Chris Stone is?
Yeah, I started in the music business 28-ish years ago. I started working for Sony Music. I was doing it in college. I was in bands for years, and I started doing business in those bands and started in Sony Music. And because I played the bass guitar and everyone else wanted to be stars, I ended up doing all the business for the bands. And so I learned early on that musicians or content creators don't want to know how to book things and make merch and by the way, the swag is
Thank you, buddy.
like Inky Black. Is that the name of the company?
Yes. They're the one that did my
Well
design.
done, Inky Black. Well done with the swag.
I mean, they even look at this. They even made it because I am I am bougie when it comes to like hats, because I was like, you know what? I don't like snapbacks. I don't like to wear this. So I said I needed a fitted hat, and there we go.
Look at that. Look at that.
So
that's right. So yeah, shout out to Inky Black. That's good work. But so, I had been in bands, and so I was the one that was doing the merch. I was booking the gigs. I was getting the interviews at college radio stations. I was doing that, and I got pretty good at it, and I loved to do it. And so, I was writing the music and doing all of that, but I really started enjoying making bands look good and making other bands look good. And so much so that I wanted to learn the music business and do that. And so that got me into, doing, cutting my hair and having a family and doing the music business and, going and doing that full time. And then eventually being a father and a husband was much more important than having a job. And so I knew that I needed to, kind of cut the cord with having a job and start my own business, which was podcasting. A lot of people think podcasting and live streaming, how do you jump from the music business? But Gabe, being a musician and being a content creator is not that different at all. Most of the time, a musician or a content creator may not want to know how the sausage is made in the back. They just want to show. They just want to be on the platforms. And so I developed a system in the business that I'm in, which is Cast Ahead, which is, listen, you come out of your trailer, you step to your microphone, you step to your camera. I will handle everything else, which is the show itself, the production itself, and then everything afterwards, the repurposing, the putting it in the audio podcast and do everything. Same stuff that you do. Our friends Russ Johns, who's in Jim Fuse, all of these folks are remote producers. That's what we do. So if you're someone that is a creative person and you don't want to know the bits and the bytes and all the switches and the reels and the shorts and all of that stuff, that's what people like us do, and we love doing it. So there you go.
That, man.
That's my origin story.
I'm gonna start using that analogy. Like you don't want to know how the sausage is made; you just want to eat it. So
that's right.
That's what we do. We we make the sausage for you guys to consume.
Yeah, and I think it's about doing the stuff that you like, right? You talk about this on your show all the time.
Yes.
It's if you don't like podcasting, if you don't like live streaming, what are you doing here, right? I mean, this is what we do. This is what we like. No one likes to listen to someone that doesn't like what they're doing, or likes to watch, someone who doesn't like what they're doing. If you're not passionate about this thing, and which we are very passionate about, we love to help other people do it. But there are times, Gabe, where I'll say to somebody, here we go, we're getting unfiltered, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we are.
Where I used to be someone, hey, you got to keep doing, and after a while, I'm like, you know what? I can just tell this is not what you want to do. Yeah. And so maybe this is something else that you want to do. And so let me help you get there. It's not this. Let me help you get there, and let me help you stay content, happy. What is your purpose? That whole thing that we talk about. It may not be live streaming. It may not be podcasting. You got to try it. You got to go. And if this sucks for you, then, let's find something else for you.
Right. I mean, and for some people, like you said, it may not be the talent side of wanting to be on a podcast or in front of a camera. Maybe you find a skill set that might suit you behind the camera, right? That's part of it as well. For some people, It's like, I like this field, the tech and the process and all this. I just don't like getting in front of a camera and talking. And that is where, like, some of the things that we do as well as remote producers is like, there are a lot of people who just like to work in the shadows sometimes and don't want to be on camera and don't have to be. That's the great thing about all of this, is that you can still be a quote unquote content creator without having to be in front of the camera to create content. You're doing it by proxy. You're sitting there doing it by creating these shows and giving people the opportunities to share their voices, right? So you're the instrument that they use to kind of get that started. And that's why I talk about it all the time. It's like, that's what, that's the thrill that some of us get out of it. And that's why I love to see people that are interested in it and don't have the want or the need to want to have to be in front of the camera. Those are the people like, you know what? There's so much more for you in store, and wanting to learn the other side of production and what all this includes, because there's so many different things that you can learn to take on. And even sometimes it's not even knowing all the tech. There's people who can become producers, executive producers, and just know how to manage systems and people. They have value as well in what we do here.
100%.
So I love that fact that, there's so many different levels and layers to what we do as creators. And, I always enjoy having these sort of conversations, because they kind of spur other people behind the scenes who reach out to us, whether it's not right here. It might be a day or two. It's like, hey, I saw this show you were talking about with this guy named Chris Stone, and you were talking about this, and how is that interest, or how do I get into that? I'm kind of possibly interested. And then it kind of just starts those little conversations, and sometimes they lead to other things and other relationships of how somebody, again, wants to get into this industry. And that's what this is what we do, because we were talking about it last night. We're slowly becoming the media. We get the opportunity to go out there and tailor how we want our stories and the things that we are passionate about, and put it out there for people to consume. And, we talked about this again last night. It's like, people are like, well, what is the content? Like, what do I have to create? You know, because I get this a lot, and I'm pretty sure you do. I'm going to ask you too. When people reach out to you and they say, or you mention it to them, hey man, I like what you talked about. You should try this as well, or you should try a podcast or a live stream. And they're like, what am I going to talk about? Or
Mm,
what are
yeah.
people going to find interesting in what I do? And it's like, man, do you not like see the landscape of what like reality TV is? I mean, people became celebrities before they were
Mm.
celebrities, and doing what? Like being in the same households together, or just any of these things. So like, you can create this now. You have the tools.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, I think most people put live streaming and podcasting in a box, and they think, well, this is for celebrities, this is for people that are known, this is for people that are, and certainly, it can be beneficial, but they have a cumulative advantage. They already have some celebrity, and so when they just put their name out there and they show up on YouTube, there's going to be thousands of people, tens of thousands, maybe more, that will show up. But what we found out, especially like when Jim and I on Dealcasters go live on Amazon, most people don't identify with those celebrities. They don't identify with that. And you made a great point, Gabe, in terms of like, we are the news or we are media or whatever. I don't want to use the word news because I think people can absolutely put that into a box. So
Right.
I will throw that out. So we could just like, throw that tape out. But I think, when it comes to making decisions, you have so many opportunities for you to say, okay, I'm going to unplug from my 9 to 5 or whatever I'm doing, and I'm going to pop open my screen. And if I see that the Gabe experience is on and there is whomever it's on, I may take a shot at that because I know who that is. I've watched a few shows and I've gotten some value out of it before you even flip on the broadcast television, before you flip on anything else. You're going to jump into something, and this because you relate more to that. And when we talk about live selling, or what I like to call live solving, it's why Amazon said, hey, we're not going to hire Kevin Hart and Kim Kardashian and all of these celebrities because that's going to be a massive failure because no one trusts them when they say that you should buy something.
Yeah.
And the reason why they don't trust them is because they know that that brand is paying them lots of money to say that. And so if there's someone that looks like Gabe and Chris and, Billy and Eliza and Raquel and everyone else here that's chiming in on the chat, if they look a little bit more like that, I can identify with that person. I'm going to listen to what that person's doing. I can trust that person a little bit more. And even if you're not live selling, live solving, maybe you have something that you want to communicate on a live stream. Maybe you have a mission. Maybe you have something that that's inside of you that you want to get out. Maybe you just want to have fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Those are all fantastic reasons to go live, to do podcasting, to do whatever. Like, you have that opportunity now to do that, to do it with your phone, to do it with something in your pocket that is something that 10 years ago there wasn't. Like, it was thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and took many, many, many hours to do. Now it takes 10 minutes and it's already in your pocket. And so I think when you take that and you say, this is an opportunity for me, like, that imposter syndrome of why would anybody listen to me kind of goes away when you really think about the potential impact you have to connect with people, no matter what your mission is, no matter what you have to sell, or no matter what you have to communicate.
Yeah. And and the great thing is this, I mean, all these things that you mentioned, right? They've given us avenues to circumvent having to go through so much to learn how to do any of this production work. I mean, everything can be done literally, like you said, in the palm of your hand. And the technology is even faster evolving with every new phone that comes out here. So iPhone 14 just came out. I mean, the new features and all the stuff that are always getting put into these phones, right? They're almost creating studios in your hand. I mean, you can pretty much do everything that you literally want to inside of the palm of your hand and not have to worry about, other than just technique and learning those sort of things and coming up with a content strategy, everything that you really need is right there. You don't have to go any further than opening up your TikTok account and going over there and creating videos and editing and all the stuff that you see, that, like you said, a few years ago would have cost you thousands of dollars to kind of have to be able to do this. And now, again, it's getting it. And, you know, we do invest in tech. Let's not say that we don't. But, you know, for a lot of the times it's to go to do another whole level of wanting to do production, right? It is for other reasons where, like I said, if you literally want to get started and not have to break the bank and still be creative and still look really good, right here. You don't have to go any further than this. Grab that, go on there, start creating. You can start doing a lot of the things. I mean, I do a lot of the things now, literally from my phone. I can create overlay. I can create a lot of stuff again, I'll use for production later on in the palm of my hand. And people are like, well, how did you do that? Easy. They've made it so much easier, and it's only getting easier by the year. I mean, by the month sometimes. It's like just constantly developing. So, you know, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I tell them most of the times, like, you don't need too much to really get started.
No. That's right. And that's really the premise of the show that we have on Amazon. And, we're not on Amazon now, so I can speak a little unfiltered,
tell
about
us
this
all
right
the
now.
secrets.
Like, there's nothing in the carousel right now, so you don't have to worry about it. But honestly, we talk when the first time somebody says, like what mic I should buy. I mean, that's obviously the one of the biggest and most often asked questions. For Dealcasters or for us in our collective businesses, whether it's Cast Ahead or Fusion Marketing for Jim Fuse. And it's pronounced fuse, Gabe, just so you know.
Fuse, like a car fuse, like fuse.
Like a fuse box,
like
that's
a fuse
right.
box. Okay, good.
Right. So, but we say this all the time. It's like the mic you need is what gets you to speak. Okay. And that might be the earbuds that come with like, if you're comfortable with that, and no one is comfortable with the way their voice sounds initially. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Gabe, I don't know if you were initially or not. For the most part, people, when they hear their voice for the first time, it can be horrifying, right? But the only way to get more used to that is to do it more often. And so the beauty of having something to where you can record yourself without going live is that you can continue to practice and doing that. It's, I equate it all the time to going to the gym. Like, nobody goes to the gym and comes back shredded. Like, if you envision yourself, to be in shape, for a fact, it is an absolute fact that you will have to dedicate yourself over a period of time and get in the regimen. And we all know this, yet we sometimes somehow don't do it. And that is, eat right and exercise, and, you'll be more fit. But that doesn't happen overnight. It's same thing doesn't happen with content creation. You don't get a fantastic show like the Gabe Leal Experience without having done as many shows as he's done. And Gabe, I don't know, do you go back and watch do you have those recordings? Do you go back and watch any of those?
Okay. So a few years ago, the answer would have been no.
Yeah.
So even as
it's horrifying thought, isn't it?
It is. And I think once I started to realize that I always talk about watching other live streamers to learn from them. And then I told myself, well, you know what? Hell, I can learn from myself. Let me go back and start watching it.
That's right.
And it started with me going back and watching like my very first ever live stream, the first broadcast that I ever did. It was 19 minutes of horrific, conversation that was like tough sledding because I didn't plan on not being alone. I had a guest lined up, and the guest pulled out on the very first show, and I just said I have to go with this, and I did, and it was tough, terrible. I mean, terrible. I had a white sheet behind me.
Yeah.
Terrible lighting, poor camera placement. Did not know how to look into the camera. Spent a lot of the time fumbling over my words, looking to the left, looking to the right, trying to figure out everything else. It was terrible. I mean, it was like, but it also showed me like where I've come from. I've come leaps and bounds from where I was when sitting in that chair. I'm like, I'm not that same guy anymore.
Yeah.
I have a whole level of confidence now where I can literally just monologue for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and not even,
yes,
and not even break a sweat and go and feel fine. Like I just did 2 hours. I could probably do another two if you guys want me to. But going back to thinking how it was from the very first start, it was. Again, it's been changing. It's been life-changing to get into this point because it's given me a level of confidence that I take not only from doing these interviews here, but then in my other side of life of dealing with people in, sales. So it's given me another level of communication with folks and just trying to actually now learn how to read more into body language and conversation and picking up on somebody's cadence and learning how to it all plays into this. And it's been a skill set that I've learned simply by doing this right here, talking.
That's it.
And being in front of a camera. And this is how it can actually change for you as well. I mean, and even now, I still look for ways to kind of keep myself on edge and steadily trying to learn. I mean, like I recorded a few weeks ago on the shows here. I interviewed myself. I recorded myself.
I remember. I saw that. Yeah.
And that was another first for me. but I had butterflies because I haven't felt those in forever. I mean, I got to go back again to my first season and remember back the first time I had a interview, the first time that I had somebody who I thought was a big guest. And then my first time I ever did a panel, all those times were like when I was really nervous and felt it and had that energy. And I haven't felt it ever since then until I did that episode because it was something I hadn't done before. Yes. So you're
better for it.
Yeah. It was enjoyment. It was pure enjoyment.
You're better for it. Yeah. And I think that's what, I mean, just kind of peeling it back to, I thought when I got into the quote unquote podcasting industry that my business and what I wanted to do was going to be something. And I fought it, for a long period of time. And it wasn't video at all, Gabe. It was purely audio because of, I was in the music business and it was like, I hadn't done much video and I'd fought it. And I remember being on a virtual, this was way, I don't know, whatever year it was pre-pandemic. And I was watching a Pat Flynn live stream and he played his very first podcast that he ever did. And it was really bad. It was really bad. It was bad. And I thought, oh my God. Well, like if Pat Flynn just put out, like that was his first podcast, I think my podcast might have even been better than that. I mean, it was still really, really bad. But, and so that just gave me a feeling like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's just like, your second podcast and your second show is going to be better than your first. Third is going to be better than the second. And then it's just, it's building on that and it's putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I believe it's rooted in curiosity. So if you're not curious about this, meaning you're not in curiosity is fueled by that passion. So if, like this is what I've wanted to do and so I'm curious about it. And so I'm constantly Like it's something that's a pebble in my shoe. I'm constantly curious about learning how when something is launched, when I can, Be Live has now got Amazon,
Yeah.
comments that are coming on, and I'm always just kind of like figuring it out. Why am I figuring it out? Because I love doing this. I love helping people get launched. Jim and I have done this Dealcasters thing on Amazon for a few years. We had no idea that it would do what it's done. And people are making like full-time revenue, when I say full-time, like this is all they do is Amazon. We had no idea when we first got launched that this would lead to this, but this was not the reason why we did it. And it still isn't the reason why we do it.
Yeah.
We do it because when we do shows, people will tell us, I'm starting my podcast tomorrow. I have this microphone. I have these 2 pairs of headphones in, because I can return one, because you guys told me that if I don't like something, I can return it on Amazon. That's really easy. And I'm buying a Zoom H6 because I can't afford this, and I need to do this in my office. And I like all these things that we worked with people on in a chat. And I'm starting my podcast tomorrow, and it's about inclusive in the workplace, or whatever their podcast was. I can't even remember at the time. Like, that's why we do it. It's not because whatever they bought is going to get us $13.76 in commission revenue. That's not why we did it. Like, that doesn't feel like. What feels great is that person maybe does something that impacts someone's life. And, maybe not this month, maybe not next month, maybe not in 10 years, but eventually it will. And so that's why I don't mean to go deep here, but this isn't unfiltered. Like, when we're doing stuff like this,
go deep as you want,
right? This is going to outlive us, Gabe. This show tonight is going to outlive us. You and I will be 6 feet under and in another place. No matter what you believe where that place is, we'll be in another place. The show will live here. And what you say and what I say might impact someone.
That's it.
So why not make it better?
Absolutely.
Why not treat it more importantly?
And you know what? You're absolutely right. This is the whole reason why I spend so much time. Like, I thought about it again, and I was been telling myself, as I've been kind of revamping and doing a lot of things myself, is like, whether or not I want to continue to do this. And I said, you know what? I do, because I love that part about it. It made me think about it over and over again, of saying, like, the things that I get to create and the legacy that I get to leave behind. I mean,
that's it.
Those things are going to go beyond the scope of however long I'm allowed to continue living. But, I don't know how long all that other stuff, all this content I'm creating goes on. I mean, I'm pretty sure when Shakespeare wrote his, all his books and his plays, that he didn't know that, thousands of years later, that they would still be taught in schools and turned into movies and all of that stuff there. So I don't know where any of this is going to go, but you know what? I know that I need to create it. And that's just where I go. So like I said, I've said just throwing out numbers because I guess those give me measurables to think about, but I'm going to go, I need to think about like a round number. And I said, I'm going to do 1,000. And they're like, 1,000? Are you crazy? I'm like, I'm already halfway there. I mean, what? How much more is another 500 episodes? I mean, for me, it's like I'll eclipse over 500 by the time I'm done with this season here. So I'm like, come on, man, that's a drop in a hat. I mean, plus I'll still gives me an idea of like how I want to still continue to create content and how I will evolve with what I want to do. And like I said, I understand that this is going to be here a lot longer, like you said, than I am. And hopefully it'll be a blueprint for my kids to figure out at some point, like who I was as their
Yeah.
as their old man, you know. Um, I love this, Russ. I would never. Of course not, Russ Johns. Of course not. No. I
Well,
mean,
and Garen Belaney says, don't go that into it. Like, listen, when it comes time to do, and this is the 5th or 6th show that I've done this week, and I'm not saying that to, be like whatever, but I don't treat these shows lightly. I don't. I do it, and not just out of respect for Gabe, not just out of respect for, the folks that I did shows with today and earlier this week, and the shows that I have tomorrow. I really feel this is part of my legacy and can be part of Gabe's legacy and part of your legacy is like, can this impact someone? We get contacted all the time. Jim and I get contacted all the time with people that we have on our shows that go, hey, there's something, that you said and this, that, and the other. And guests will come to us and say, hey, somebody contacted us because they watched our show and they were impacted because of the interview that we had. And, it led to this. Like, there is nothing greater than that. There really isn't.
no.
And I think the financial stuff and all that stuff, we got to pay the bills and everybody's, and that's all part of it, right? But man, there's nothing that feels better than helping someone. There really isn't.
Man, and this is again, this is
there just isn't.
This is where that's why I love to spotlight different creators that come from different realms of like everybody has their own way of helping out. Like ours is teaching you to get in front of the camera. Ours is teaching you how to talk into a microphone. Ours is teaching you technique. But then there's other people that do the same thing, whether it's I'm stuck in my business. I don't know how to grow that or scale that I don't know how to get a job. And they go to recruiters and they'll, so there's people that we all do it in some way, shape or form. In what we do in our everyday lives. So my thing is, if I have the opportunity to record it and help somebody else, that it just expands what I would probably just be able to do in my everyday routine and dealing with people. So now it goes from me just dealing with the 10 people that I might have talked to today to now the 100 who watched everything that I've done or went to my YouTube channel or Instagram or wherever that is. And that is where, like, I don't want that to not be something that I get to do if I have the opportunity to. And that's why I love seeing other people when they go, there's other people that do this as well. They might do it better than me. I said, you know what? You might be right about that. But every person that does this does not mean that, you might not be able to resonate with somebody that other individual couldn't. So whether it's how you communicate it, how your cadence sounds to them, whatever the rhythm or vibe that you give could be the same message as again, to Tony Robbins. I'm just going to use it as an example. Like how the whole rah and up and just how he does it 100% of everything he's doing there. And then, somebody else might come along and might have a lot of the same message, but it's relayed differently and it connects. And that's what matters. And that's why I tell people, get out there.
Yes.
Put the voice out there, whether it's in whatever form that is, whether it's in the audio format, the video format, or if it's in the written word. Keep doing it, man. It's gonna make an impact with somebody else in ways that you don't even understand the magnitude of the scope.
Man, there's so much in there, dude. Our voices are not for everyone.
No.
And I think this is a great thing, no matter what level you're at. And in terms of whether you're a content creator, or you're in a business, no matter whatever you're doing, our voices are not for everyone. And I had a bit of a cumulative advantage being in bands for as many years as I was, starting in junior high and high school, and I've had plenty of crap thrown at me from the stage, and have had good reviews, and have had bad reviews, and I've had success, and I've had like some people just really say some awful garbage. And I've seen awful garbage thrown at other content creators, and our voices are not for everyone. And part of going through the reps is not only just getting better at your craft, but being able to consume everything that is coming at you, and being able to deal with the things that are coming at you, and being able and this is a real situation where you will get the more influence that you have and the more impact that you have, the more tomatoes
Yeah.
that are being thrown at you at the stage, the more chicken wire you'll need to have up in front of you on the stage. I'm dating myself with the Blues Brothers reference, but um, this is part of it, and this is why I have such incredibly thick skin, and why when people with scarcity mindset come at Jim and I and say, "Hey guys, shut up about Amazon. You're taking money from me as a content creator." And I say, "Guess what? Be better,
Yeah.
because that's not the way it works. The
Right.
way it works is this is an abundance mindset. This is like, ladies and gentlemen, the creator economy is so massive and so huge, and it's not just about Amazon. It's
It's
not just
not.
about YouTube.
It's
This is about getting in and developing, living life on your terms, and being able to say, hey, I can create this, and I have a voice, and I have a really affordable way to do this and develop a real business
yeah.
around this. And if you hate what I'm doing, that's okay. There's lots of people who don't. And you have to, that's a real part of this thing, is to say, you know what? That's cool. You don't like my voice. You think I'm a whatever I am, all of the comments that I leave up on YouTube and I leave up on all those other things, because it's like, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. And there's lots of trolls, and there's lots of people that are just there to shoot, and they are just in the way, and they don't have to be. And
Yeah.
so that's just I don't even know why I went
No,
down the whole
no, no,
rabbit
no, no, no.
hole
That's what
in
happens
terms
here.
of that, but that can be a trap. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Let me change it up here before we start wrapping up. So,
Yeah.
in terms of being in the music industry, what is there a singular incident or anything that you can remember, um, in all those years that you said, "Oh my gosh, I never would have imagined seeing something like this happening, and it's happening right here in front of my own eyes."
Oh, wow. Well, the music industry changed dramatically when digital came in, and so a lot of the, um, a lot of what a lot of people thought, or still probably think, that the music industry is a lot about, oh, hey, did you meet artist, X, Y, and Z, and did you meet all of these artists? And yes, I did meet, some of my, musical heroes. I was able to meet Prince. I was, who was, just incredible. It was incredible just how great he was. And there's lots of terrible stories about how, oh, I met Prince and he was a jerk and whatever. And he was absolutely great, I thought. I mean, it was like a 12-second interaction with him, but it was that. What comes to mind is, it's similar to situations where I've been a part of content creators, journeys, and they still aren't like massive, but they were like just starting out.
Yeah.
And I love to see the successes that they have and be able to live through their successes, just have like a thumbprint on the DNA of what they do. That's really what gets me passionate. I'm not in this to have this name be in neon. I'm in this because I love to see the success of others. And there was this, I don't know if you've ever heard of this little band that came out of the Southeast called the Dave Matthews Band.
I
And
think I might
yeah,
be a little bit familiar with it. I think I've heard it
yeah.
before.
And so they were signed to RCA Records, but when they were signed to before they were signed to RCA Records, Dave Matthews sold this "Remember Two Things" record out of his trunk, basically, in Virginia and in the Southeast. And there was like this little buzz, and it was really cool to be an early part of what they were doing, and with Bama Rags, and before they were signed to RCA, and being a part of that. And they were, I got to be at a club where there was 13 people in a club, and it was like one of these, I don't know, a label, I don't know, showcases, I guess.
Yeah.
And there was 13 people that hung around, and it was like 1:00 in the morning. And I was one of 13 record label executives that were in this thing. And I remember standing there and turning around and looking at the soundboard and seeing at least 25 kids at the soundboard that had been traveling around with Dave Matthews Band and this was we were in Seattle.
Yeah.
And these people were all from Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and they were traveling with, just with the band, and they all had recorders at the soundboard recording the live performance
Wow.
because they were such big fans. And here I was, like this record label executive, and Dave Matthews Band and his band just destroyed. They just, it didn't matter if there was 13 million people or 13 people. They performed like it was either. And I remember I just walked back and I talked to the fans.
Man.
It was like, where are you guys from? And they were just like, they didn't even want to talk to me, because they were so mesmerized by the band. And I was like, how many times have you seen them? And some of them were seen them like 300 times. And that to me was like, this is where it's at. It's the super fandom. It's like, how do you tap into that? How do you, and of course, obviously Dave Matthews Band became, what he became.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of stuff that you go through those points in time, and you just kind of like, it affects you in terms of how you market, how you look at things, how you say, what's the potential of this, and how can I market? How can I maximize these things? And I mean, I have like hundreds of little stories like that. And, some of them are, that was the one off the top of my head, but I mean, there's other ones as well, where it's just like, there's so much correlation between the music business and musicians and content creators. It's insane how many there are.
Yeah. And that's only transitioning. That's why I said I love this, because as we move more into the digital age, you're going to have the opportunity to do that. I mean, that was at a time and a place and a time where now, if that were to happen, any one of those 25 kids there, they just could have recorded it and put it on social media and could have went viral overnight. I mean, that's just how simple, and not that going viral is simple. I'm just saying, but that is how simple the process has literally become. And that's why I'm excited for like what live streaming and what we're doing here now. I mean, me and Russ have always talked about this. A few years ago, it's like we were just scratching the surface, and I still think we're only getting to a certain point about it, because big corporations and other companies are starting to see the value in it because of what this is. I mean, this is like almost the most direct access I can have to somebody without being in front of them and trying to sell a product or anything else. This is as close as I can come. It's like, I am in the palm of your hands right now, and you can watch me order a red cup, and you want to buy the red cup because I have it. That is just how simple it's become.
Yeah.
And again, it's why we're only getting started, and it's why I still love like content creators like yourself and people
Thank you,
that
man.
are putting these things together in the backgrounds. That's why I know where I'm at, and I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is it. So
Yeah, and it's crazy too because here we are live, right?
yeah,
And you and I have never met face to face.
no,
We've been on shows together,
yeah,
right? And I believe, this is the first time that we've been on each other's
other,
show, being able to chop it up one on
mm-hmm,
one like this. But this is what you get, right?
yeah,
It doesn't take long for you to realize, especially you who have been on, live, 5,627,698 times,
times,
to know like this is the guy, right?
yeah,
Like you can't, eventually it get, you get exposed, like this is the guy. And this is why I love live video. This is why I love working with people that want to be on live video, because this is who you get. You use the word, I use the word exposed, but this is who you are. I
yeah,
mean, like you can't put on a fake thing right now, and this thing's going to fall behind me, or I'm
right.
going to accidentally say a bad word, or whatever. I mean, that's who I am, and
To,
that's what's going to happen, and people are forgiving, and it's okay. It's a different energy. If this were produced, it would produce a different energy,
right.
and that's what's the beauty. This is the beauty of it.
Right. You get, I love that. That is like, again, that is whatever the vibe is, that is what they're going to pick up on.
Yeah.
And if you try to do something else apart from like who you are
Mm-hmm.
genuinely get it out, Gabe. It gets tiring. It gets
Yeah.
tiring to have to wear, like I say, wear those masks when it's
Yeah.
unnecessary. If you just actually open up and people, guess what? Like you for you. How amazing is that?
And
Like
as
you for
Russ
you.
John said, that was unfiltered, Chris.
That
Yes,
was.
Russ. I'm sorry, I'm unfiltered most of the time. Actually, yeah. The only time I'm really filtered is around my wife,
They,
unfortunately. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
it might even be worse then. All right. Chris Stone, thank you so much, first of all, for coming on
Thank
the
you,
show. I do
Gabe.
appreciate the conversation. Where can people go to find you guys, or when should I say is the more of the answer, because I got the link here in the comments, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
also on the screen. You can guys go to dealcasters.live and you can follow these two gentlemen, Jim Fuse, listen to that, and Mr.
There
Chris
you
Stone. They're
go.
doing their Dealcasters thing. Um,
Yeah, and we're going live tomorrow on International Podcast Day on Amazon and all the other tubes. But yeah, it's International Podcast Day. So as Dealcasters, we got to go live. And so we're going live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of great stuff from Shure and Heil Music and Focusrite and a lot of our favorite stuff that we're just so happy and able to talk about. So yeah, dealcasters.live is where you get us. And if you want to connect with me, I'm at chrisstone.contact, chrisstone.contact. And if no matter what platform, LinkedIn or whatever, you can connect with me.
Yeah. And I'll drop it out as soon as the show's over in the comments. If anybody wants to go, it'll be a link. You can go connect with Mr. Stone himself and learn a lot more about what he does, maybe how he can help you. And, who knows what happens after that. But thank you again,
Yeah.
Chris.
Thanks, Walter Strong.
Mr. Strong, thank you for tuning in over here on LinkedIn and just about everybody else that's been watching. So sit tight real quick. Let me get covered here, and then we will go from there. So, guys, again, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. What a wonderful show. What a wonderful conversation. So much that I took out of that. I was taking mental notes. That way I learned from myself. But We will be back, though, tomorrow, guys, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. My guest for the evening will be Miss Nicole Frazier. She is another individual going out there and helping use her experience in the past to help women, entrepreneurs, and just entrepreneurs in general in learning how to build themselves up, and sometimes starting from scratch. So we're going to have that discussion tomorrow. She'll be my guest tomorrow evening, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time here on LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, now that Facebook's working again. And then where else am I streaming? God knows. I'll remember at some point, but please tune in tomorrow evening. Wrapping up our week. She'll be episode number 4040 already, folks. Gosh. Oh my God, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful, but yep, we'll be back in, and man, I don't know what else to say except thank you guys for tuning in this evening. You guys, again, are the best crowd on LinkedIn, bar none. I don't care what anybody says. We'll fight it to the end, and we'll make sure that you guys come out victorious. So thank you again for tuning in, guys, and thank you again for Christopher, I'm going to call him Christopher Stone because he's not there just yet. I know he's probably listening. All right. But I want to thank Chris Stone for being my guest for this evening. And we will be back tomorrow evening. So you guys stay safe, stay well, live your best life, man. And we'll get through this together. So until tomorrow night, good night, everybody. There we go. Oh, let me find my own, if I can get my outro done. All right.